Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, what we're going to talk about is cutting people off. Honestly, some people don't deserve to be in your life. And more often than not, we tend to keep them around for all the wrong reasons. So I came across something that I was reading the other day, and it talked about the types of characteristics of people who are, kind of toxic for you that you probably should be getting out of your life. And I was like, you know what, that'd be a good thing to talk about on the podcast. So sit back, relax. We'll drop the theme music and we'll get the podcast jumping. Let's get it. Welcome back. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm talking about cutting off some of your friends. Now, I know that sounds kind of harsh when you think about it. Trust me, I'm someone who really values friendships, right? I'll tell anybody, I think I have some of the best friends that you could probably ask for, right? And I think everybody who I consider to be a friend, or people that consider me to be a friend, are, very useful and very, influential and impactful in my life. I think sometimes as we get older, things kind of change a little bit. And so as time changes, people change. So when people change, you have to kind of adjust. And sometimes the reality of getting older is that you have to make grown decisions. So like I was saying in the intro, I was reading this article that I came across online, and it talked about, having toxic friends, and not necessarily toxic friends, but friends who have toxic characteristics when it comes to you. And it kind of broke it down into different categories, and I'll touch on that in just a second. But again, you have to, look at yourself and be realistic about who you are, and then also be realistic about where these people fall in your life. And of course, like I said, over time, some friends take on different roles as you get older. And I don't want to necessarily just, even though we're talking about friends, this can include family as well, because sometimes you got to cut family off too. And it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but a lot of times you have to do it for your own sanity and your own mental health, right? Because you shouldn't let friends and family drive you crazy, because some will. So I was reading this article, and it broke it down into categories, and I'll share with you the categories that they talked about, and I'll just kind of expound and give you my take on these categories. And they're in no particular order. The first category is the energy vampire. Now, what they mean by that is the energy vampire is the person that, just leaves you emotionally sapped and physically exhausted just by their mere existence. And I think, we have, if you look around, you probably, if you don't have friends or family like that, it's probably likely that they're there, and maybe they just don't bring that energy to you. And if you don't have it in your life, then that's a great thing. But yeah, it's people that will, physically drain you. I mean, like, you can't emotionally be around them. I remember a close friend of mine telling me about a family member that he had. And he said just talking to this particular family member, like, he could talk to the family member for an hour. And if they talked for an hour, he might talk for 2 minutes. And in that hour that they talked, they've got 58 minutes of drama. And the conversations was leaving him just like, he felt like he was in a fight, like an emotional fight, just listening to somebody just kind of just dump and just complain and, you know, for lack of a better term, bitching and moaning about everything. Yeah, you know, those kind of people you have to cut off. You just, it's really in your best interest. If you stop and think about it, you have to do your best to avoid spending time with that kind of person. And you really are punishing yourself for allowing them to be in your life. You can have people in your life, but sometimes you need to keep them at a distance. And if you find yourself in a position where you can't keep them at a distance, then it becomes a real problem, because they can, you know, put that energy on you. And, you know, it's not what you want, you know, and it doesn't matter if they're, you know, talking to you or talking about you or just talking about their lives. Nobody wants their energy, you know, just drained from being around someone. You know, vampire energies tend to push you beyond your limits. And you could try explaining it to them why they are exhausting, but you're probably going to lose patience trying to do that. I mean, and more often than not, the vampire energy people don't realize what they're doing. And maybe they do, but for the most part, they don't realize what they're doing. And when you try to talk to them, you know, they're very delusional, if you will, as to, you know, the impact that they're having. So a lot of times what you have to say falls on deaf ears. So cut them off. Cut them off and they'll find somebody else to drain. The second person that they talked about cutting off, that you should cut off out of your life, is the person that's selfish. Personally, like, I have very little patience for selfish people. Now, I'm somebody who is about myself, and, you know, I'm going to big up myself and champion myself at every single turn that I can. But I don't think I'm selfish. So when I met with selfishness or selfish people, it immediately rubs me the wrong way. The way that it's described in this article is that, you know, we always have that one or two selfish friend or family member that no matter what anybody else is going through, they still make themselves the center of attention. Now, listen, everybody likes to be the center of attention at some point, but there's always that one person that no matter what happens, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they've got to be the center of attention. If you talk about the promotion that you got at their job, oh, they got a bigger promotion. If you talk about maybe looking at a car, oh, they just bought a new car. I mean, like, damn. Can we share in some of my joy a little bit? But yeah, the selfish person is the one that's always the center of attention. They're always looking out for their best interests. And, you know, they're going to take whatever they can get from you in that process. And that's where that becomes problematic, because you don't want to assist those who are selfish. Because if you do, in all reality, you're not going to get any credit for any help that you've given them. You know, selfish people will tell you that, you know, or at least allude to the fact that they did it all by themselves on their own. That's not true. Nobody does anything or gets anywhere in life on their own. We all have help, no matter what levels of success that you think that you've acquired. There's been someone along the way that's helped. Maybe you did most of the work, but trust me, you didn't do it yourself. But selfish people, I mean, again, they tend to use people. And the last thing I think that most people want to be is used. Selfish people aren't going to reciprocate when you need something from them. They're usually nowhere to be found. Usually. And, it doesn't get much worse than, needing someone and needing that person, and that selfish friend or that selfish family member is nowhere to be found. And I don't mean necessarily needing them, financially or anything like that, but just for whatever, and it's not a good feeling. So selfish people, selfish friends, selfish family members, you really should keep them at a distance. You should cut them off. And when I say cut them off, I don't necessarily mean just cut them off and don't speak to them forever. This ain't third grade. But you have to, protect your own mental stability and your own sanity and your own mental health, as you go forward. And, a lot of times selfish people, they'll drain you as well, because they're going to take whatever they can get from you, and then they're done. And you're left holding the bag. And there's nothing for you to say or do, because in reality, that the person that you were dealing with was selfish from day one. Cut them off. The next person that they talked about in the article was the one that keeps it real. Man, we don't have enough people in this world. We got a ton of people in this world that keep it way too real. The people that keep it too real, I'll put it like this. It's great to have someone in your life that tells you the truth. But there's a thin line between, being helpful and being honest with someone and the unnecessary harshness. Case in point, I'm online. I'm on, social media. Perfect example. I'll use Instagram, for example. I see a lot of my women friends on Instagram, working out. Great thing. Cool. New year, starting off this year at the time of this recording is 2019, starting off 2019 the right way in the gym. Summer bodies are made in the winter. I get it. Right. And then you see, some of these women that are working out, getting themselves right, what have you. And then they may or may not have a friend or a family member say, well, I don't know why you're working out. You ain't gonna do nothing but eat anyway. You're gonna gain that weight right back. Whatever weight you lose, you're gonna gain right back. That's keeping it too real. There's a way to say any and everything. It's called tact. Most people have some version of tact. And there's a lot of people that don't have any tact whatsoever. But the ones that keep it real, the real ones, oh man, they have no tact. Again, there's a thin line between helpful honesty and unnecessary harshness. And I think when you say something like that, that's just being harsh, borderline hating. Listen, we're all adults. You can figure things out on your own. Most things you can figure out on your own, and you don't necessarily need somebody that's keeping it real to bring you back to earth or a dose of what their reality is. And if you pay close attention to those who keep it too real, they relish in bringing folks down. They relish in being the bearer of bad news. They relish in bringing, keeping it real with you to the point where they're quote unquote putting you in check. You don't need friends or family like that. I mean, you got to cut them off just for your own sanity and your own benefit. You have to cut them off. And if you don't cut them off, I mean, they will literally drain the life out of you. and they are some of the toughest people to be around. They're there, in a lot of ways to rain on your parade. And, they will cover it by saying, well, hey, I'm just telling it like it is. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need you to tell it like it is. I think I can figure this out from here, right? I don't need you to keep it real with me. And then again, in a lot of ways, they feel like they're doing you some type of service, but it's really a disservice. Cut them off. Friends or family, cut them off. The next person that they talked about in the article was the Debbie Downer. Oh, woe is me. Some people, man, they don't want to be happy. I've always maintained, even since I was a young kid, I think happiness is a choice. Now there are external and internal factors that make us happy, but generally speaking, happiness is a choice. You choose to be happy. Now, there are some who have, the challenges within that, push that happiness, both positively and negatively. But again, it's a choice. That's always been my thought process. It's a choice, and it's something that you either want or don't want. And honestly, some people don't want to be happy. Some people are addicted to drama. They love negativity because it allows them to be the victim. And no matter how many suggestions you make to that person, they will find a way to insist that the problems in their life just can't be fixed. Does that sound familiar? Those people, again, you really, really have to cut them off. Because if they're committed to thinking this way, there's absolutely nothing that you can do to convince them otherwise. They are set in their ways, and they're set in that thought process, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Pessimism is contagious. I get it. It can creep into your life, at any moment's notice when you're not careful. I get it. But at the same time, it's a lot of times when things happen to us, it's all about your perspective on how you look at it. You could be, I don't know, you can get into a car accident. And yeah, if you're in a car accident, then now you got to look at, okay, what am I going to do about transportation? You could be down about the fact that, somebody hit you out of the blue, so forth and so on. Or you could look at it from the standpoint of, well, hey, I survived. I walked away without a scratch. I still have my health. There's two ways to look at it. Maybe it's just me because I've always been a positive person. Like, there's something good in just about any and everything that happens to us. Sometimes you have to look for it. Even on the most darkest of days, there's something positive that you can take from that. I've always felt like that. So the Debbie Downers, for me, I've been able to keep out of my way, out of sight. Because I don't like negativity, and I don't like people who are just, the sky is falling on them every day. Bro, I got the same sky you got. And we don't have the same opportunities, but at the same time, everything isn't the end of the world. It's not, even on the toughest times that you go through, it's not the end of the world. But those are people that, the Debbie Downers, man, they don't want to be happy. And for people who don't want to be happy, there's absolutely nothing that you can do for them. You literally could give them $10 million and they still wouldn't be happy. The money's not going to change it. Nothing. And they just don't want to be happy. And they've chosen not to be happy. So when people choose not to be happy, you have to just kind of accept them for who they are and keep it moving. Because if not, they will bring that to you. Cut them off. Cut them off. Friends or family, cut them off. You gotta let them go. It's just not. It's not good for you. It's not good at all. The next person that they talked about in the final characteristics, the wise one. Man, where do I even begin? I get it, right? I mean, we're in an era where just about any and everything that you want to know, you can find out on the internet, right? But come on, man. I mean, there's somebody that you know who probably knows and sees just about everything. And they feel compelled to teach you or school you on any and everything. You say, hey, I plan to vote this year. What are you voting for? Voting don't work. Voting hadn't worked all these years. You know, people been voting all these years. It don't do nothing. The government is rigged. Da 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 da. Okay. I plan to eat this steak. You shouldn't eat steak. Do you know what they do to animals? Okay. You should stay woke. Okay. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand conspiracy theories. I get it. I don't care enough. I mean, yeah, I probably shouldn't be eating this steak, you know, but I'm going to eat this steak. Why? Because I like steak. Because I can't afford it, you know. Should I not eat McDonald's French fries? I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna eat them anyway, right? Yeah, there's pesticides and, you know, everything that you put on the plants and all of this stuff. You know, the wise ones will tell you about everything that's gonna kill you. Oh man, you shouldn't eat that. That'll kill you. Let me let you in a little secret, wise one. Everything's gonna kill us. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe at, 95 years old, you know, because I ate vegetables in 2010, is that going to take me out? Okay. I lived 95 years. Okay. I mean, like, who cares? I made it. I'd rather vegetables take me out than a bullet or a cop. So I'm hip to the wise ones, the woke ones, if you will. But yeah, these people are trying to change your entire outlook just to match theirs. And, you know, they try to make you think that how you're living is wrong. You know, why would you want to be around somebody that's constantly and consistently questioning your judgment? I mean, we're grown. I don't need you to tell me what to eat. I've been eating food all my life. Now, if you say, okay, well, hey, you probably shouldn't smoke. And for the record, I don't smoke. But if you say, hey, you shouldn't smoke. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, there's people in this world that smoke cigarettes. They smoke weed. They smoke whatever. You know, I choose not to because it's not for me. But, you know, I don't know. Be very cautious of the wise ones, or the woke ones, if you will. You know, they got all the answers. They got all the sauce. And most of the time, it's just talk. It's just talk. They want you to do exactly what they're doing and to live exactly how they're living. Now, I'm not someone who's going to dump on someone who's trying to give me information. But again, you know, I don't want to hear your conspiracy theories about why the government is the way that it is and why this symbol on the dollar bill signalizes white supremacy. I don't care. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I mean, if you want me to care, tough. I don't. There's no knock on what you're trying to tell me, but and I think that's the approach that most people should have. Like you will receive that information in due time, and but you can't change people, and you can't change people to make them think how you think just because you're quote unquote woke or you're the wise one that everybody's going to follow suit, and everybody that doesn't follow suit is lame. Nah, it's not the way the world works. It's not. It's not. But yeah, that, like I said, that's how they broke it down in the article. I'll say this, man, for everybody listening, you deserve to be happy, first and foremost. I think most people, most of you listening, myself included, are people pleasers. We want to please those around us. We want to make people happy. More importantly, you want to make yourself happy. And we allow people in and out of our lives to do whatever we want them to do to us and for us. So, when it becomes a situation where what they're doing is negatively affecting us, you got to cut them off. You just have to cut them off. I mean, because it's really not worth your time nor your efforts. And, when you get to be my age in your 40s, I don't know necessarily that you are in a position where you are necessarily seeking new friends. At least I ain't seeking no new friends. But it's you have to put people in their certain places and perspective and how they are in your life. And if that means that you need to remove them, then so be it. Because again, if you don't set healthy boundaries to protect yourself from the negativity that these people are bringing to you, then you suffer unnecessarily. And for that, you can only blame yourself, not the other person. That's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.